All right. And Marguerite will look for the captain.
Ship's in dock, so it's not doing anything, but he's up there leaning into rail, looking at the other ships.
Okay. And Marguerite will walk up to him.
Well, no. Once you have written it, there is no easy way to cover it up. Ink does not work that way.
She's sort of standing there, looking like she's not entirely sure how to begin this conversation, and is considering it. And just ends up standing there for a long time. Well, I guess the captain debates ink.
He turns around and he's looking at Marguerite. Is everything the matter? You look troubled.
Oui, I suppose everything may be the matter. So we went to speak to Catalina's. We went to speak to her friend, and he shared some information that I cannot, in good conscience, not relate to you.
And that information is?
Uh, well, so you know how we all came to be here. It's a strange group of 4 who joined your ship. We?
Oui.
We. We were on the ship that sank, and we were all on that ship as we had been, I suppose, arrested for various things. And the people who put me on that ship, well, as far as they are concerned, I should be dead. However, it appears that they have been made aware that is not the case, and they are making inquiries. And they are not the kind of people that you wish to be on the bad side of, and so I do not wish to cause trouble for your ship or your crew, and so if this is an issue, then I can leave.
This ship is crewed by innocent people who have
We.
all had trouble. Boswell and the pirate who was doing the writing's like, yes, Captain. Why are you on this ship? Oh, I was on trial for thievery, sir. The lawyer, he did me wrong. Leans over. Nimrod, and a large guy at the front. He's like, yes, Captain. What do you on my ship for? Well, I was on the Royal Navy, sir. But they said I deserted. The truth was, I just wasn't there.
That is the case, however, it is... Is the Royal Navy going to hunt you down, or is whoever wanted to arrest you for thievery? I do not know. And are they likely to murder everyone and set the ship aflame and sink it to the bottom of the sea?
And one of the female pirates swings upside down from the rigging. Yes, Captain! What is it that we do? We liberate people of their funds that deserve it. Others call that piracy, duh. There are places in this world that will hang pirates, regardless of if we followed the code, regardless of if we let people go or not. As I told Wojak, I have never killed a person without reason. I have never fired on a ship that has not fired upon us first. Although there may be circumstances that would be different. When taking merchants, I have never fired on them. But there are still places that would hang us just for being pirates, not for the crimes that we may or may not have committed in their eyes. You are no different than anyone else on this ship.
At the moment, I am... At the moment, I am more liable to cause issues for everyone on this ship than anyone else on this ship.
And so certain are you? Do you know that everyone's here, their story, how they've come here, who may or may not be looking for them?
No.
That is correct. Probably is the worst one. Hick, shut up.
Well, I am going to have to leave for a while, at least to go investigate a certain. And so, while I am gone, if you change your mind, that is fine.
And would you like to join you in this expedition?
That is up to anyone to choose for themselves. I would not wish to bring along anyone who did not wish to go. Catalina, I think, said she would. If Alana hears of the circumstances, you may have to tie her to the mast to keep her here.
We cannot fully protect her anyway. The world is a big place. It is better that she learns.
So you would wish her to go?
I trust in your judgment.
It may have relation to something she is seeking. Other than that, I do not know. I could ask Fenric, unless he is busy.
We have Fenric off looking into something.
Ah.
Do we? I thought it was for and he kicks him again and gives him a glare and lets off a string of fake Russian at him.
Which cannot be repeated, not because we don't know Russian, but it's just... Well, then I do not know who else would wish to go. It will take 2 weeks to get there, I have been told, and so I suppose 2 weeks back we will return here?
Very good. We will try to pick up a couple of jobs in the meantime, but we will check in.
Oui. Merci. And she looks a little bit less concerned. And then I guess she will go looking for Catalina.
She is below deck.
And Marguerite has... Okay.
Okay.
She's been sitting there, wondering what she's been doing.
She's in the little storeroom where all the medical equipment is kept, with a table large enough for someone to lay on there, and she's sort of standing at it, counting out coins.
Bonjour.
Hola, Marguerite. ¿Cómo estás?
I am worried. I do not wish to be a problem for this ship.
What do you mean?
I mean what I say. What do you mean? What do I mean?
What do you mean you are being trouble for the ship?
I do not wish for them to be hunted down and murdered by some very bad people. That is what I mean.
So you are saying that you have some not very nice people that are after you?
That was rather the impression I gathered from your friend. Oui?
And she sighs, and she stops counting the money. I know some people, and these people I know, they are very bad. I would not think that people that were after you would be as bad as the people that I do know.
Oh, is that so? So the people that I have told you about that wish to restructure the entire world because there are too many people and they wish to eliminate like a lot of the people, and so they say I have betrayed my old country and they like to kill people, many people. And yes, they are not so bad.
I did not think you were serious.
Oui. I was, and if
Well,
If
the
they are
people of
trying to
Montaigne
find me,
do
that
tend to
is-
embellish on
Ugh.
certain things.
there was no embellishment, that is what happened.
Then you truly are in a pickle, then.
I am not so concerned about that. It is the idea that in looking for me they could bring arm to this ship, or to Alana, or to... I do not wish to bring that here.
Would it not matter where you go then?
I suppose it does not. However, until just today, I assumed that there was no trouble because they thought I was dead.
I would think that you would be better surrounded by friends.
Unless in doing so, I caused those friends to die. However, the captain has declined my offer to leave the ship.
I am sure there is more than one crew member where people would be after them.
That is what they said. All of them. However, I rather think it is on a greater scale. I can hardly be sure myself. I have not... They did not sit me down and give me a full report about everything that they do. They already thought that I knew, as they thought I was someone else. So everything that I know is sort of a inference. However, that aside, if you still wish to go to this village that your friend requested we investigate, the captain says we may bring Alana.
And she thinks, and she looks down at her coins again, and she starts recounting, and she stops. She looks up. See, you cannot leave this ship. And she shakes her head.
Well, I shall have to, for at least a time, in order to go do this investigation.
See, and that with I agree. However, I could not allow you to leave permanently.
And why is that?
Her face becomes a little bit flushed. And she looks back down at the coins again, and she starts counting a little bit slower.
That is not an answer. That is counting.
And she sort of shrugs a little bit and lifts her hand up from counting, and she twirls the front part of her hair and in her finger, and she looks up and she says, "You cannot leave because you are my friend."
Hey, that is true. That is why I do not wish you to die.
She sighs.
Well, if there's anything you need to bring...
It is enough that I potentially have certain people from my own country who are after me. It is nothing to have more people from another country that could possibly do harm to me.
I think somewhere from your country. Wait. One of them is a Castilian governor, I believe.
Well, you cannot stop them on your own.
I see.
See, and she looks back down, counting.
I shall add that to the list. If there is anything you need to bring, it is a 2-week journey, apparently. And we can get Alana and go. Alright, Marguerite's gonna gather anything she needs and, I guess, inform Alana.
Yes, and what of the child?
What's other?
Is she coming with us?
I assume she will wish to. If there is any possible connection to Reese, which I believe there is, then she would be hard to keep away.
Very well, I concur.
So Marguerite will go ask Alana if she wants to come along.
She bounces up and down with much enthusiasm as she enjoys road trips.
I do not know if it will be that enjoyable. We are going to a small village to look for someone, possibly.
It is an adventure!
I am glad that you are pleased.
She throws open her chest and starts looking through for what she thinks would be the most useful and appropriate gear And she has her thigh-high black boots, which she quite likes. And they are quite polished. She polishes them quite often. She starts to choose reasonably practical shirt and pants with the boots. She has a couple of large, colourful cloaks and coats, and she's sort of looking at them, trying to decide, does she take a cloak? Does she take one of the frock coats that she has? She has her hat with the big plume. And she has her new rapier that the crew chipped in. But after the fight that she had at the plantation...
Yeah, everyone was very impressed.
Yes, and they have chipped in and they bought her a rather nice frock coat and a rapier, which is seashells, is the shape of the hilt. Steel, but it's a what they call a shell rapier. And there is a white dove with a lightning bolt behind it, which has been etched onto one of the...
Uh-huh. Very fancy. I'm sure she's thrilled.
Oh, yes. And she comes out a few minutes later. She has the frock coat on, a big purple one, the rapier strapped on her hips, and she has a cloak, but it's folded. She's bringing it in case she needs it.
For dramatic effect. So, I do not yet know what we are going to find when we are there, but you will need to be cautious, as it could involve some very dangerous people.
And she flicks the patch down over one eye and goes, "We are very dangerous people."
We, in a sense, however, these are dangerous people on a whole nother scale. We do not yet have influence over multiple nations and all of that. Perhaps someday. It is a goal we can work towards. Alright, I guess we go.
And she makes a bit of a exaggerated snap as she puts on her black gloves, and she turns round and does a very overdone flourish mix of a curtsy and a bow, and the crew cheer.
And Catalina shakes her head.
Catalina's just shaking her head.
And Marguerite is laughing. And off we go to Eisen.
The journey is 2 weeks, and you have been riding in a coach for that time. There have been various passengers that have spoken to you as they've been going on their way, but no one appeared suspicious, and no one has gone with you the full distance. As you are approaching the area of your destination, it has been raining quite heavily, and it is definitely colder than where you were in Castile. You can see up on the hill ahead the lights of what appears to be the tavern and the small village that is surrounding it. There are only a handful of buildings as you approach the small hill, and the coach pulls up on the outskirts of town. And comes to a stop.
Well, I guess we are there.
I suppose we are. As there are not very many buildings. I suppose it should be easy to ask if anyone has seen the person we are looking for. But if we find her, I am not altogether too sure what we are to do then.
And who is this Magna Mola?
As far as I know, she is a noble from Eisen. Roberto seemed to believe she had something to do with the War of the Cross.
Very well. And Catalina opens up the carriage door and steps out onto the ground.
And Marguerite will hop down as well.
And she stretches.
I much prefer sea travel.
And Alana drops down and flicks the hood of her cloak over her head against the rain. Especially the road. It's muddy where you are, but it's very muddy on the road. It's probably about 5 degrees, so it's not cold enough for it to turn to ice, but it is definitely a cold edge to it.
Perhaps we should go to the inn and make inquiries there. It would also be warmer.
And the inn is 2 stories, and unlike ones you have seen before, it appears that the sleeping rooms are on the ground floor and the tavern part is on the 2nd floor.
Ah.
Catalina will enter and push the 2 doors open.
I suppose we had better see about renting a room.
See.
Then she will look for an innkeeper of some description.
Okay. So you head upstairs.
Okay.
And there's an old chip bar, which is on the right-hand side of the room. There's wooden tables and chairs. There's about 6 people, all up in the common room. There's a middle-aged man behind the bar. Alana walks up and she slaps her hand down onto the bar and takes it away, and there's a coin. And she says, "A drink for myself and my fellows." And she makes an exaggerated motion towards both you and Catalina. And he takes the coin and pours 3 mugs of beer and puts it up. And she takes it. "Mercy!" And comes over and sits down and gives you each an ale.
Does he speak Watachi? Or is he just...
You're not entirely sure.
Or is he just like, money? Okay. Alcohol. Here you go. Merci. And Marguerite will take one. And look at it and be like, I don't know if I like beer, but...
Catalina looks at it, sniffs it.
Is Alana drinking beer?
She does not look like she likes it, but she's like, "We're incognito."
Marguerite, who would drink wine if anything, is sort of hesitantly sipping at it. She does not wish to be rude, since Alana got them, but she doesn't like it.
She doesn't like it either. She's sort of going like, "I was speaking to the crew and they said that up here they have as many varieties of beer as you have of wine."
That would be very many.
Seems to be the national drink.
Why would you want so many types of beer? It is bitter and strange.
It's not champagne.
No.
And she sniffs at it. Maybe that's why all the Icen sailors are so grumpy all the time, if this is what they drink.
Perhaps. I would not be very happy either. So, do you think it would be best to have a room for the night and investigate more and begin tomorrow?
See.
Very well. The rain is very cold and I do not enjoy damp clothing.
I agree with this feeling.
Alright, Marguerite's gonna ask the bartender, I guess, since there doesn't seem to be anyone else in charge, about renting a room.
And he says it's a handful of coin. And if you will be so kind as to... And he points to a ledger-sized book over on a table to the side. Sign the guest book for your party and then bring it over. It is ice and law to record all travellers who stay at inns.
Oui. I can just sign and then bring it to you?
Correct.
Alright, she will pay. She will go. And she will flip a little bit back in the guest book, looking for any interesting names, perhaps. See any names that stand out, like perhaps the name of someone we might be looking for, or something like that. Just any really cool names, you know. Never know. People can have interesting names. Alright, then I guess she'll... Are they dated at all, or is it just a name?
Within the last month, it was.
In the last month. Okay, then she will make note of that name. Then she will sign for the party and bring the book over to the bartender. When she brings it back to the innkeeper, she will say, what is this on your ledger? It says Crow?
That was the name of the old inn. Where the name was changed last year.
Why?
I'm not entirely sure. Different owner? It could have been something to do with that. But it was, yes, it was formerly known as the Crow Inn.
Ah. I see. Well, here you are. She will hand it over.
Danke.
And then she will go and find the other two again.
Oh, one moment, Fräulein. And he reaches around and takes a key. And it has a 4 written on it. And he hands it over.
Ah, merci. She will take it. And return to the other two. In the guest book, there is a name of interest.
A name, you say?
Oui. It is one that Alana and I have seen before. In that ledger you found, Alana.
Someone from there was here? Or someone from here was there?
The same name in both. I do not think it is a real name. However, it stood out because I had read it there before. And I have the room key.
The name... So you're saying the name in the ledger is the same name in the register?
Oui, there is a name that appears in both.
It could be that they may be two different people.
With the same name?
Highly unlikely, but perhaps worth investigating.
They would have signed into the inn within the last month.
And when did the name appear in the ledger?
I am not so sure. The ledger still requires some study. It is... Well, some of it is coded and most of the names are fake. And it is not so easy to decipher.
After Catalina scans the room, I am going to go downstairs. I need a hot bath.
Alana, do you wish to finish that? You do not have to.
No.
I do not wish to either. We can go. It is paid for. What do they care if it is drunk or not? Then we shall go. Room 4. And Marguerite will head downstairs. And unlocked the door and gone inside. All that fun stuff.
As you enter the room, you see there's 4 cots. They don't look great, but they do look functional. There is a painting on the wall.
A nice painting.
Yeah, it looks quite well done.
And I did see a picture of Marguerite is upon entering the room, staring at the painting on the wall. Well, I suppose we have not yet found the person we are looking for. However, here is a painting of her. Does the painting say anything? Like, is there a plaque or anything?
Nope. She's in a very male pose for the day that you've seen in a lot of sort of noble sort of poses. Very straight and upright with a long cloak, which she's pulled around and folded over one arm, and the other one has a very fine ivory cane, and she's put the tip of it against her front foot, which she has put like forward, and leaning it out to the side. It's a very pompous sort of pose, something which Marguerite has seen a lot of at the court of Montaigne, those sort of poses and that sort of. Looks like it's been painted at a study.
Right.
There is the edge of a cot at the back and a bookcase on the other side. So it looks like it might have been painted. Marguerite would know also it can sometimes be popular in the other nations to not always be completely faithful to location. But you might get the feeling that you might think this has been painted faithfully from a location.
That is Magda Muller.
He is a lot older than I expected.
In this painting, she is older than in the one I was shown before. So that was an earlier one. And this is more recent?
Why would they hang a painting of such a woman up on the wall in here?
She is a noble. If she has any relation to this place, they could. I do not know. I suppose we could ask the innkeeper about why they have such a painting. Although if it was placed here more than a year or so ago, he may not know, as apparently the inn changed its name last year and he is not sure why. I assume he was not working here at the time then.
He still may know why. I would not ask him.
No? What would you do?
Why? Perhaps lead with the inquiry as to the quality of the painting.
Perhaps I should leave that up to you. All right. The next day, Marguerite will remind Catalina of her brilliant plan to ask the innkeeper for his opinion on the wonderful art.
Oh, she doesn't talk to people. She just...
Stabs them? All right. Well, if Catalina doesn't look likely to, Marguerite will head back over to talk to the innkeeper.
And he is there, polishing mugs.
Excuse me. I had a question about the room.
Hmm?
There is a painting there which is very striking. What do you know of that?
It's Helga Schmidt. She's the owner.
Of the inn?
Yes. Or rather, she was. She died last week. She was just buried, and he motions over his shoulder. You can find her in the graveyard on the hill over yonder, if you want to pay your respects.
Perhaps I shall. What did she die of?
Not sure. I don't believe it was foul play. We didn't see her that often.
No? She was a owner from afar?
More or less. She came occasionally, usually to meet someone.
Ah, well, I appreciate the information. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your patronage.
You are very welcome. All right. She will return to wherever the other two are. Marguerite will sit down at the table next to Catalina and Alana if she is there. So who would like to visit a cemetery?
Is it graveyard?
Eh?
Why would we need to visit the graveyard?
Well, that is apparently where one can find our friend from the painting.
Really? And Catalina looks surprised.
The innkeeper here says that the lady in the painting is Elga Schmidt, who died and was buried a week ago.
But we are not looking for one Elga Schmidt.
No. However, if that is who is in the painting and the woman in the painting is who we are looking for, then it sounds as though they are one and the same.
Oh,
Oh!
He's already dead! Apparently. There is mist, it seems. I cannot see that far.
The weather seems appropriate for a visit to the cemetery.
We could not have gone if the sun was shining.
See,
Well, that would have been very inconvenient.
see.
Well, as it seems you find it sufficiently dreary, perhaps we can go.
I never go to the cemetery on a sunny day.
Well, Marguerite will wait for Catalina to finish her morning bread and then make
And-
for the cemetery.
And she's picking the seeds out of it and eating them individually. Okay, we shall head to the cemetery.
you go down the track. It's about a kilometre, you think, and you come to the graveyard. There is a old rusty iron fence surrounding it. It is not huge, but it is dark and foreboding. The fog is thick and has been hanging over the entire area. The stones and the gravestones look old and not well kept. In front of you, you can see a gravestone that looks much newer and cleaner. And there is large piles of dirt on either side of the grave.
Normal to have... No, this is not normal to have piles on dirt of either side of the grave.
Why do you think someone has dug it up?
I don't know. We shall see.
All right, yeah, Marguerite's gonna have a closer look at the grave, considering it's the odd one out.
And it's about 5 feet deep. And the coffin is open.
I see someone has been here.
There is a woman laying in it, but it is not Magda.
Well, that is not who we are looking for.
But the gravestone says it is.
So who is laying dead there, and why is our coffin open?
Whoever had done this had saved us the trouble of doing the same.
Marguerite is sort of peering over the edge of the grave down at the woman who is lying within it. Magda is a noble? Wait, this woman is not. She has... well... her teeth are not... well cared for, and her ends... they look very rough. She is not even... she would not be related or similar. I hope they did not kill someone for this.
The clothing looks similar. There is no cane. The clothing is also slightly ill-fitting, which is not because it's on someone who's dead.
As they have buried someone in her clothes under her name or fake name.
Catalina will jump down into the hole.
What are you doing down there?
Wishing it had not rained the day before. And she's poking and prodding and rolling over the body, and there is a knife wound in the top of her shoulder. From point of entry, it looks like the blade would have gone straight down into her heart.
Then I am afraid they did kill someone for this.
It was a quick death.
That is hardly a consolation. They killed someone to fake the death of an innkeeper who was already not who she said she was. What is the point of this?
I do not know. Perhaps there are people after her.
What, like us?
See, perhaps others.
Well, we do not seem to have been left with much to go on.
And you hear the sound of a sword being drawn.
Again.
Don't suppose it's Alana.
It is Alana.
Ah.
Oh.
And she has spun around. You see her cloak is fanning out around her.
Okay, Marguerite's also going to turn around and see what she's looking at.
I'll let Marguerite do what Marguerite wants to do, like as in how you've got a couple of seconds, like not like two,
Hey.
but it's quick. But if you want to say something, you can before we do approaches.
Okay. Catalina will hear a second sword being drawn, as Marguerite is not really feeling like these people want to talk. And she is going to say, Catalina, I believe we could use your presence. Alana, please be careful. And I don't know if I describe it since Catalina can't see it
So it is approaches.
as I'm drawing my sword, so...
There is 5 individuals. They are dressed in shabby dark clothing with cloaks, half masks, hats, rapiers and daggers. And there looks to be 4 more soldiers. They're thugs, but they're basically brutes, and one who looks better. And currently 2 have gone for Alana, and the other 3 are facing off against Marguerite.
She sighs, draws her dagger, seeing that she's only 5 feet. She's sort of mudded in a little bit. She stands on top of the coffin. She slams the coffin lid shut, shoves her dagger into the wall, and it slides in quite easily. And even with the rain the night before, it's still quite in there, fairly solid. But she jumps up onto the dagger with 1 foot, and as it's starting to sink against her weight and slide out, she manages to scramble to the top of the pit, and the dagger finally slides out and drops into the muddy water next to the coffin.
Marguerite is slightly concerned about Alana, who, even though she has been learning and has a nice new sword, she's just a little bit worried. So she's going to try and engage the scary-looking one because he seems like the biggest threat, and she doesn't want him to switch over to Alana. So she's going to lunge forwards with her rapier and attempt a step further forwards, lunge towards the more capable looking of the assailants, and manage to jab her rapier into his shoulder and pull it out and see that she has drawn some blood and hope that that has kept his attention.
So the 2 that are attacking Alana, they're jabbing at her, and she's moving rather gracefully. Her years of dance have suddenly paid off, and she's ducking and weaving and bobbing, and one of them lunges past her, and the rapier blade goes in between parts of a curved cross on one of the gravestones, and she stomps downwards on it, and the blade breaks, causing the thug to tumble backwards off balance into the mud. And then the second one tries to cut her throat, and she ducks under that, and as she is able to spin around, she cuts the leg of the brute trying to come to his feet, and he lets out a cry and falls back into the mud, holding his leg in pain as he is taken out of the fight.
Catalina throws the glob of mud, and it flies through the air, past Marguerite's head, straight into the face of one of the thugs, and he grabs his face and his eyes. He's going, my eyes, and he's fallen to his knees, trying to get mud literally out of his eyes.
She gets a slight cut from the rapier from the thug on her thigh, and she gets slapped across the face with the rapier from the other guy, but not the blade. It's with the blade, but not the sharp edge. It's like as you lunged in and hit him and pulled back, he was able to sort of lunge forward and swing, but he didn't get the edge against the face.
The rival?
But it does. Yes, the rival.
Okay.
So he lands across the side of your cheek.
Catalina and runs forward and slides in the mud and launches the rapier up into the man standing in front of her that had just stabbed her.
Yeah, she's still focused on... Catalina's now stabbed him as well, but she's still focused on what seems to be the biggest threat, so she will take a step to the side, will slash at the side of the rival with her blade, hitting him on the face with the edge of the sword for 3. What is slightly, perhaps, a retaliatory move, since he slapped her across the face with his sword. She swings hers at his, but makes sure she is pointing the edge at him, not the flat of the blade. And as she slices through the side of his face, he falls to his knees and then back into the mud. And does not move.
She's being forced back, but she's parrying and she's holding her own. And he does a sudden vicious upwards cut, and it hits her blade and knocks the sword out of her hand, and it spirals upwards. And she does something he doesn't expect, which is actually step forward and with a wild swing of her left arm hits him on the side of the head, and he spins round looking rather dazed in Marguerite's direction before he just falls into the mud. And with her last raise, she actually catches her sword when it comes back down.
Nice. We have what, one guy left? What's he do?
He's going to run.
Oh. Bye.
Graveyard is now as quiet as a graveyard.
Catalina looks at Alana, seeing that she's fine. She looks back at Marguerite. Are you okay?
I will be fine. One of them stabbed me only slightly, and the strike across my face was with the flat of the blade. It hurts, though.
Come here, sit down. And she forcefully sits you down. Not in the mud, but on a log. on a nearby log.
Tombstone. Marguerite will sit down on a headstone.
And Catalina will pull out her suture kit and
stitch up her leg.
Sewing up Marguerite.
That is more stabbing in a way.
And Catalina's trying to not be irritated by the fact that you got stabbed, but yeah.
Why is she?
Okay, I'll wait. Catalina's trying to be as gentle as possible. So hold still.
I am. I do. And what's Alana doing?
She is now rubbing her other hand, because she plonked him with the right hand before, so now she's sitting there going, you can tell she's like, I need a better way of doing this. She's quite happy with her, not that she didn't really have an audience when she caught her sword and looked rather dashing doing it, but
She's
at the
pleased
same
anyway.
she is pleased, she's happy, she's got a small cut, but nothing too serious, and she's just now she's got the rapier under her arm, she hasn't put it away, and she's just like holding her hand that she's now belted a second thug with.
If you're going to punch someone, use the hilt of the sword.
And she doesn't understand a word you said, but she's just nodding.
Yes. And do you need stitches too?
And she's like, me? No. I felled them both. She seems very proud of herself.
Oy. You did very well. Ow!
Speaking of which, Catalina stands up from stabbing Marguerite with a needle. And the guy that's still trying to claw mud out of his eyes, she walks up behind him. The hilt of the rapier, she whacks him over the back of the head. And he doesn't go down right away, so she whacks him again. And he falls head first into the mud. And she looks at him.
We could have perhaps asked him some things.
She thinks about leaving him face first down in the mud, but then rolls him over.
Like we could have asked, why did you attack us? Or, well, not now.
We can drag him back into town.
I do not wish to be in trouble for fighting in another country. One is enough.
Very well, as you say, Marguerite.
Do not need to start a diplomatic incident with Eisen now.
It appears we have stirred up a hornet's nest. Again.
I suppose, however... Was it simply because we were here? Is it because we asked the innkeeper? Or is it just that they saw when we arrived? They're not as bad as those trees, I'll tell you that.
Seventh Sea, starring Emily as Marguerite, Shadow as Fenric, RavenInsane as Catalina, Ghost as the Teller of Stories. Seventh Sea is released by Chaosium Games and written by John Wick. Some of the sound come from Sirenscape.com. You can find us at critfail.com.